Interesting story dropped today about Philadelphia Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts. Joe Santaguido, if you remember Joe Santaguido a few years back, he wrote a story about Carson Wentz. At the time, people criticized him heavily for that particular story, but it turned out that the story was, in fact, correct. So he wrote a similar story. That story in 2019, wrote a similar story 4 years later in 2024 about Jalen Hurts. And so you look at this particular story, and here it is. According to Santaguido, I'm on crossingbroad.com. According to Joe Santaguido, here's some things about Jalen Hurts. There are two versions of Jalen Hurts, the one the public sees and one behind closed doors at the NovaCare complex that the Eagles protect as they tried to do with Carson Wentz. The public, well, some of the fan base sees a leader. His teammates may not. Sources close and around the team say Hurts should have been a better leader and is capable of being a better leader. He shuts himself off from others and defers to Jake Brown, who has a great reputation among his teammates as a family guy and will hold himself and his teammates accountable. You look at this situation, I mean, the thought about Jalen Hurts is Jalen Hurts a big-time leader. That was one of the intangible pieces when it comes to Jalen Hurts. He was a big-time leader, one of the best leaders out there. In 2022, he seemed to demonstrate that leadership. And in 2023, seems not so much. And when the things started to snowball, losing 6 out of 7, something or someone needed to stem the tide, and no one could do it. The article goes on and says this. One source on the team describes Hurts as a good dude who sometimes does not realize the times he's acting like a prima donna. Multiple sources close to and inside the Eagles confirm this. Teammates wanted to include him in functions. Hurts will wave them off. He has been described as detached, stoic, isolated, or unapproachable. Look, Jalen Hurts is 25 years old. And so the reality is he does come off as a good dude, but at the same time, you could, based on seeing him on the sideline away from everybody, argue that he's unapproachable. You could argue that he's isolated. We know that he's stoic because we've seen him be stoic in certain moments, certain times, in certain games. Known when Jake Elliott hit that big field goal against the Buffalo Bills to send the game in overtime, Hurts was on the sidelines and he was just stewing over there. Again, look, that's just the reality of the situation. Maybe these things are true, maybe they're not. Who knows? Who is giving Santaguido this information? Is it someone who doesn't like Jalen Hurts within the team? I mean, there's 53 guys on the team. All 53 guys might not like you. And you might have that one guy who is willing to give information to the media about certain things. He is not actually Mr. Personality, but he is someone who will get up when he's knocked down, get up stronger, and he will do it on his own. One source said about Hurts, he won't ask for help. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. From what I know of the other guy, he wouldn't get up at all or blame someone else why he got knocked down. The other guy they're talking about is Carson Wentz. And we all know what Carson Wentz, again, his leadership was called into question. And at the end of the day, it was true. It was right when it came to Carson Wentz. And look, article also talked about Jalen Hurts perhaps changing once he got paid, once he got the money. Look, 25 years old, so he's going to grow as a person, as a man, as an individual. But also look at it from this standpoint. People do change, unfortunately, sometimes when money comes into the picture. And it's possible that Jalen Hurts has changed. And that's quite possible. It's possible once he got paid that he didn't go as hard as he used to go. I mean, Floyd Mayweather once said, the great Floyd Mayweather once said, you know what? I train like I'm still poor. And you know, that's hard to do. And Jalen Hurts, maybe, you know, he's one of those guys who got a little happy and just got a little loose in terms of him getting himself right, him getting himself ready to go, and him getting himself being the, you know, putting himself in position to be the best player possible. Look, end of the day, the Eagles season just fell apart for whatever reason. The switch flipped and they went from good to bad. It's just that simple. I mean, they were bad down the stretch there. And it happens for whatever reason. We don't know what happened. Is it Jalen's fault? I don't know. Is it Nick Sirianni's fault? I don't know. Whose fault is it? I don't know. But at the end of the day, the Philadelphia Eagles struggled near the end of last season, and they didn't get the job done, and somebody has to take the blame. Do I think ultimately Jalen Hurts will get this right? I do. Maybe it's just like Kobe. You know, Kobe had issues when Shaq left, and when Shaq left, Kobe had a difficult time becoming the leader that he ultimately became, and ultimately he won back-to-back titles with Pau Gasol, Lamar Odom, and Ron Artest and those guys. So maybe it's the same situation with Jalen Hurts. He's got to grow. He's got to learn. He's 25 years old. He's got to grow. He's got to learn and become the quarterback that he hopes to be. We'll see what happens, and we'll see if we don't know if the story is true. And maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But we have to see what happens going forward. But this is an interesting story. And again, maybe it explains to some degree why the Philadelphia Eagles season fell apart.